And we are live. Hello, folks. Welcome on this Wednesday to Netroots Nation's 2023 session, Pause for the Cause. Simple tips to make peace in a fast pace with the one, the only, Reggie Hubbard. My name's Denise, and I am program support for the Netroots Nation team. I'm going to be here as your room host, and I'm going to be supporting any tech or process questions or challenges y'all have. Just put those in the general community chat, and I'll see what I can do to help you out. Even though we're in a virtual space, please keep in mind our community guidelines. And if you have questions for Reggie, please use the questions tab. The integration here allows you to vote questions up. So if you see something that somebody else threw in there and you love it, you want to have that question be answered for Reggie, vote that up. Just keep in mind that the question space is for Reggie. The general chat space will be for questions for me if you have any tech problems, etc., etc. This session is going to be recorded and it'll be made available after the fact. And I know we're getting started a little bit late, but we've still got the full hour. Don't you worry. And for anybody that is participating in the Netroots games, the code for the session today, in order to jump up on the leaderboard, is democracy. And I'll come back around at the end and remind all of y'all about that. But thanks so much for being here. Big thank you to Reggie, who's been an amazing, grounding, and transformational presence on Netroots over many, many years. And we're so grateful that he is taking this time to be with us and that y'all are taking some time to be with us. I'm going to turn it over to Reggie.
Well, Denise, thank you. Peace to everyone, and quite literally peace. You know, for those of us that do this work, it seems as though there is no time for peace, which is why since Netroots, I think 17 or 18 or 19, well, pre-pandemic, every Netroots Nation conference, I've done my best to offer like meditation spaces and wellness spaces, because y'all, if we don't take care of ourselves, the work won't take care of itself if we don't take care of ourselves. And one of the things that I've seen since the world has opened back up in the past year or so, people have rushed back into everything. I've seen so many people post pictures on social media of their vacations where they look exhausted. So it's not a flex to post a vacation picture when you got bags under your eye. You know, like this is not really a flex, right? And so even when we're taking a pause, we're not taking a pause. And so what I'm hopeful to do here, and I'll also do this in Chicago, is just remind us of how simple it is and how simple it can be to take care of ourselves. I mean, one of the things that happens very often, especially as campaigns take off and media rhetoric picks up and the pace of election cycles quicken, is that the phrase of, I don't have time for that, whether it be food, or rest or anything, that becomes part of the culture. That becomes part of what people say. That becomes part of what we believe. And I'm just here to call gentle bullshit on that. Like we do have time. It doesn't have. You may not have a 90-minute opportunity to do like a full whatever, but you can take like 5 minutes or 2 minutes or maybe 10 to do something to give yourself a reset. Because the premise this operates is the following. One is that it's impossible to have a fresh idea from an exhausted mind. So think about like campaign planning or any operative work that you do where you're just mentally fatigued, and how that just brings mistakes more prevalent, and the energy you have to use to correct a mistake it's just a cascade. And the other thing I would say is that you're worth taking time to relax. I mean, you as an individual and the work that you do is precious enough that you can take some time to chill, right? So what I want to do is just offer a little set of sequences, and then we'll have time for questions and answers and those sorts of things. But what I want to do is I'm going to go through simple body parts that we overuse and ways that you can bring peace to them so that you're not pushing through unnecessarily, right? So first of all, we use our hands way too much, like this. So our hands have become talons, Talons, and they're not, they're hands, they're fingers, right? So they're meant to stretch and those sorts of things. But if we spend hours like this, not only will it harm the health of our hands, it goes all the way down the arm into the shoulder. So like if you spend hours like this, not only does it mess your hand health, like the neck, the breath, all these things. And so I'm going to spend about 30 seconds on how you can take better care of your hands. So you spend hours like this, bring the fingertips together in your talons, and then remember and see how you can go from talon to talent really quickly. And so not only is this a finger stretch, it is an opportunity for the palm to stretch. You may even feel this in your wrist. So from either computers or phones, you can go from this to this quite simply. So let's just do this for a little bit, right? It's a simple technique to soften the hands, reanimate the fingers, and stretch the palms. Bringing balance to the hands, fingers, and palms. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, give yourself sparkle fingers. It's Pride Month, 1, but 2, why not? Just beautiful, right? Notice how the fingers feel. Notice how the hands feel. And give yourself these sparkle fingers for 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now notice how the hands feel. So open and close the hands. And break. That was 2 minutes. And notice how the hands feel after that 2-minute experience, right? So that is one quick tip to find peace in the hands, which if the hands hurt, you can't do your work, right? So think of that as a foundational thing. So keeping with the hands, so now that we've done the hands, going down the chain. So what's next is the wrists. So take fingers together and just begin to, you can do this after a Zoom call. You can do this shit. You can do this during a Zoom call, especially the ones that are hella long. And just get into the wrist. And if the wrists are popping, think of that as a gift. We're reorienting the wrist towards its full design as opposed to this thing. Switch the direction. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we're going to shake the hands out. So this is wrists and fingers. Pause. Notice how the vitality in the hands and fingers and wrists. So now what I want us to do, and then we'll pause again. So hands out, pretend like you're like riding a motorcycle, then go down, then up. So this is stretching the back of the hand. Release. Create friction in the palms, because we need friction. We're activists, right? So friction is part of the game. But using friction as a means of taking care of the hands, again, because not only is this a pause from the work, it's bringing balance and nourishment to the hands. So now notice how the hands feel. My hands are like, because we brought balance to them. So we've spent 4 minutes on the hands. So what I want to do now is, again, if you have any questions, use your liberated hands and just put them in the chat, and I'm here for it. But I want you to just pause, eyes closed, and just notice how the wrists and hands feel. And if closing the eyes isn't comfortable for you, soften them at least. And feel with the mind how the hands feel. So this is a basic meditation on the work that you just did to get the mind focused on the sensation in the hands and not a spreadsheet or anything like that. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, clear, open the eyes, sparkle hands. All right, so now we've done fingers, we've done wrists and hands. Let's put all that together. So hands together, fingers together. And then I want you to straight, like the wrist, bend, and then create a bit of a wave here. So this is wrist, fingers, and shoulders. Now pause, do that the other way. And maybe even you soften or close the eyes. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Notice how that feels. And as you notice how that feels, begin to work the shoulders back. Maybe the eyes close. But again, 10 more seconds of really getting into the shoulder. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pausing, right? So the simple tips I've shown are fingers, wrists and hands, fingers, wrists, and shoulders. Every time you take a break to bring balance back to the body, it's good for the mind. It rests the mind. It allows the mind to take a break from being squinted, looking over at something or stressing or something. And it brings a level of peace to the body, which just doesn't typically exist, right? So making peace with the body allows the mind to relax. And when the mind is relaxed, you can do better work, right? Not better as in terms of quality, but better in terms of just presence and better in terms of just less damage to yourself. So we work the hands, fingers, wrists, and shoulders. Let's get into the neck. So a simple tip. And again, it's probably a bit of when I say tips, it's not just advice, right? Because we got hella advice. I'm trying to show you simple things you can do. Activists do, not think, do. So things you can do quickly to bring balance and peace to mind and body, right? So let's get into the neck. So take chin to chest, and then take right ear to right shoulder, center, left ear to left shoulder, center, right ear to right shoulder, center, left ear, left shoulder, center. So another 10 seconds or so of simple eyes soft or closed and work in the neck. If I had $1 for every time an activist or a person told me I can't have this neck tightness, think of how we use the neck. So next time, left ears to left shoulder, just hang out. And with the fingers that we've worked, allow the fingers and the neck to have a conversation. A conversation based on sensation. and allow the energy of the fingers to soften the neck. And let's take 2 breaths here. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. 1. In through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. 2. Chin to center. Pause. Then take right ear to right shoulder. And before you do anything, just sense what's happening in the neck on the left side. Then with the fingers, allow the fingers and the neck to have a conversation rooted in sensation. So whatever the neck feels, allow the fingers to soften it. Two clearing breaths. Inhale. Exhale. 1. Inhale. Exhale. 2. Chin to center. Raise head level, chin level. If eyes have closed, open them. That was 2.5 minutes, right? So 2.5 minutes to go here, here, and breathe. That simple pause, notice how the neck feels, right? How do the fingers and the neck feel? So these little snippets of balance, because when you sit like this for hours, wonder why you feel bad, so just bringing the neck up, shoulders down, and all that. So now we've done fingers, super simple, wrists, fingers, shoulders, wrists, shoulders, neck. Now we're going to take a simple break for the eyes, right? And so each of these practices is really not that long. And so the pause is in taking a break from, I gotta do this, and be like, okay, I'm gonna just do this for a little bit, open my eyes, and then get back at it. And that 90 seconds or 2 minutes of peace changes everything. Trust me, like a lot of the wild stuff I do, there's no way I could do it if I didn't take these breaks. All right, so bring palms together, create a little friction in the palms, like you got a little dish, like, yo, I can't wait to tell so-and-so this. And then take hands and just massage the hands, because when was the last time you did that? You can do this after you've been on Slack too long, or, I mean, you name it, but 30 seconds. Now, create friction in the palms. And then do something for the face, right? So take maybe these fingers and just get in at the jaw. So about 10 seconds of taking heated fingers and tender touch to the jaw. One clearing breath, inhale. Exhale, release. And now just do whatever. Notice how the jaw feels. Notice how the neck feels. Notice the connection between the two. Two more things for the head, and then I'm going to put all that together. So like bit by bit. So a head level. So don't have the head out like this. Bring the neck back a little bit, because we also do this, which essentially suffocates us, right? So heads in balance, not here, here. Bring the palms together, create friction in the palms. And then do something loving for the face, cheeks up, right? So maybe that's a cheek and a sinus area massage. Maybe that is a forehead, eyebrow area. But just do something kind for the upper face. for 30 seconds. So again, envisioning this as a quick pause from the fast pace of meetings, or I gotta go to the next meeting. Like, no, I'm gonna take this time and like massage my forehead for a bit. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Notice how that feels. Again, a quick pause. Notice how the face feels peaceful, or there's more space in it. So last thing for the head, sorry about my crazy hair. Actually, not sorry about my crazy hair. So take fingers together, create a little pulse in the fingers, and then take the fingers to the scalp. So maybe the thumbs go behind the ears and the rest of the fingers just go to town, but 30 seconds. Relieving stress that lives in the top of the head. 15 more seconds. Whew. 5, 4, 3, 2, release. Allow eyes to soften or close. Taking stock, again, this hasn't been long, right? That whole sequence is about 3 minutes. So the neck and shoulder and the face and the head thing, 4 minutes. And as you pause, notice how the mind feels and the body feels. So bringing that into balance gives you so much more space to do good work. And I don't say this from a productivity perspective, I say this from a quality perspective, right? So who wants to work hard and just not have good results and then feel bad about it? Who wants to do that? Now, let's put that together, right? So I'm going to put the whole sequence I just did together, and I'll make it like, it'll probably be like 5 minutes or so. So we did little pauses, again, fingers, wrists, wrists and fingers, wrist, fingers, and shoulders, shoulders, neck, jaw, eyes, top of head. So we're going to put all that together for a 5-minute pause that one can do after a Zoom call, or maybe you've been seated for too long, seated and hunched over for too long, or maybe you just need to just like clear your head. Like this is a perfect snippet that doesn't take long, but also just gives you energy balance, right? If you feel a little off, this will help you find a little bit more of a plumb line, so to speak. So shoulders back and down, heart forward, and then just play, right? So we're going to do everything that we just did in one whole sequence. Excuse me. So eyes soft or closed. Noticing how the body feels and how good it has been to take a break, even the small ones, right? Now, pressing fingers together, opening and closing the fingers as a means of balancing and giving fingers opportunity to be limber again. Then shifting from fingers to wrists. Switch the direction of the wrists. Then fingers and wrists together. Then begin to work fingers and wrists together Getting into the shoulders a bit. Then being a little bit of a freestyle, pause, and then take that in the opposite direction. We're at 45 seconds for those counting. Then shake all that out. Hands forward, throttle the motorcycle, back off. Throttle, back off. Throttle, back off. Now, drop the hands and get into the shoulders. So maybe they're together, maybe they're one then the other, but finding that opening in the hands all the way down to the heart and chest. Now, just do one shoulder. So you choose the shoulder. This is a good exercise for the brain. So how can I keep one still while the other's in motion? So stop that, do the other one. So this is mental training and physical training. Pause. Now do something akin to a backstroke. So full range of motion, back and down. Point the elbow down, keep the fingers soft. So maybe it's kind of a dated reference. So maybe you do like a Pulp Fiction sequence. Dated reference, timeless moving. Chin to chest. Then take a lazy right ear to right shoulder. Lazy left ear to left shoulder. And rock back and forth, just getting into whatever range of motion the neck has to offer. Left ear comes to left shoulder, pausing. Then take offhand finger, so right hand to right jaw. Two clearing breaths, inhale. Exhale, release. One. Inhale. Exhale, release. Two. Chin to center, pause. Right ear goes to right shoulder. Sense into what you feel. And then with left fingers, get into the neck where the ear and the jaw meet, all the way down to the collarbone. Two clearing breaths, inhale. Exhale, one. Inhale. Exhale, two. Chin to center, head level. Create friction in the palms. Noticing how the hands feel. Then, once you have sufficient heat, massaging the palms, massaging the wrist. Friction in the palms. Then take peace fingers and get in on the jaw. So from like where the ear hole is down to where the jaw becomes the chin. Ten seconds. Deep inhale. Exhale, clear. Find a bit of a fluid motion. Rub palms together. Then do something kind for the eyes. So maybe that's an eye massage. Maybe you got on the cheekbones, eyebrow ridge, forehead, sinus cavity, temple region. Just get in there. Lastly, friction in the palms. Do something for the top of the head. So you can just thumbs behind the ears or at the temple, rest of the fingers in the scalp. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Pause. That was about 5 minutes, 5:15. Notice how you feel, right? So notice how that little pause, like one of my favorite folks that I've read over the course of my life is Audre Lorde, and this is mentioned often as rhetoric, but not practice, and that's why it pisses me off. But like, taking care of self is not self-indulgence; it's self-preservation, and that in and of itself, especially in my marginalized communities and those of us with progressive values, that's an act of political warfare. So, like, your first armament is how you take care of yourself, and so if you don't take care of yourself, you're fighting a battle with no weapons, right? With no armor. Like, what the fuck is that? Pardon my candor. So if you don't have the time to arm yourself, then maybe that's a bit of a liability to the fight, just to be quite candid. But those little pauses that we've talked about, you don't have time for what society commonly connotes as a peace break or a pause or those sorts of things. But if you don't have 30 seconds just to go like this after typing all day, then you're not going to make peace in the body and you're not really going to have peace in the mind. And I don't say that to scare anybody. I just say that because it's essential that you find these little simple practices. And again, tips. I haven't used tips. I didn't use slides. I know that's kind of an anathema in this world, but this isn't a thinking practice. This isn't something to put on your to-do list. It's something that I'm hopeful that you can begin to embody and that you can begin to implement either at the top of your day or if you've been on Zoom calls. I can't tell you how many Zoom calls I've been on where someone's like, I haven't taken a break, I haven't eaten. That's not a badge of honor. I'm not impressed by that. And neither should you be, because you're starving yourself for what? So these little pauses, one, spare you from running yourself. And we've only done upper body. I'll do some lower body stuff next. These little pauses give you grace and peace, and they also spare other people from having to hear about your self-destructive tendencies, right? So like we as a movement have got to do better. We don't need to dump our stuff on other people. Like, we need to take care of ourselves and then share our love and abundance with other people. And that only happens when you find peace along the way. Like, being addicted to the fast pace only makes you run out of gas, right? Even in NASCAR, which is all about speed, they have to make pit stops, right? So think of these things as pit stops that are useful to your performance in the fast pace. So we did the upper body, we did like the mind stuff. We're gonna do some side body stuff, some twist stuff, then a little bit of standing, and then maybe do a little meditation, not to freak you out, but just to show you how simple it is. So now that we're limber in the hands and the neck and those sorts of things, if we spend hours like this, imagine what's happening in our side bodies, right? So take right arm all the way to the sky, then tip over and breathe here. So I'm still sitting in a chair. You can take other arm out, Keep fingers soft that are over the head, maybe hand behind the head. And just breathe into the side body that's exposed. So for me, that's the right. Deep in through the nose. Exhale out the mouth, release the arm, and give yourself a little bit of a dance break, because that's another tip for finding peace. If you can't make time to dance, how are you going to celebrate the victories when we prevail? Left arm up to the sky. I'm a little teapot, find your bend. Keeping fingers soft or take a hand behind the head, breathing into this exposed side. About 10 seconds here. Straighten the arm, bring it down, and then give yourself an impromptu dance party. Yes, this seems corny, but I'd rather be corny with a smile than miserable and frowning on some serious stuff. Anyway, now bring hands together and press out. Take arms overhead and find your I'm too sexy for this meeting. So you're getting into the hips and shoulders here. Switch directions if you haven't. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release all that because we're going to do that again. Palms together, pressing out. Inhale, hands overhead. And then maybe you side bend from side to side. Maybe you have your little bit of a dance party. Maybe you take it up and down. But doing something that balances upper body and side body for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shake all that off. No, I didn't shrink my chair. Oh, fell. So now we're going to put all that together. So right arm up, inhale, exhale, bend, right arm up and down. Left up, bend, up, and down. So what we're doing here is lengthening the side body and then having impromptu dance parties, because if you sit in your chair all day and don't have any dance parties, I mean, give me a break. So now we're going to fingers together, inhale up, exhale a little bit of a swivel in the shoulders and hips. Release, shake that out. Give yourself a little bit of a dance party. So together, up, bend, up, down, dance. Left side, up, bend, up, down, dance. Fingers together, out, up, around, around, shimmy. Again, out, up, around, around, shimmy. What we just did there was barely a minute. So if you're a team leader, you can introduce this potentially on your call, because it's not just fun. It's allowing people to like alleviate stress in their body. That's the best gift you can give somebody as a teacher or a leader, as a chance not to stress so much. So now one last thing for the neck. Then I'm going to do something standing. Then we may be done. So now take your chin to the chest and then make smaller circles on the collarbone. Then inhale, head all the way back. Exhale out the mouth, chin to chest. Inhale, head back. Exhale out the mouth, chin to chest. One more. In through the nose, head back. Exhale out the mouth, chin to chest. Head level, eyes open. That's something you can do when you feel tight in the throat. So for people who give speeches, it basically creates energy in the throat to clear it, so your voice is literally clear. And there's less stress here, so your voice can actually exert itself less. Trust me, as someone who speaks, I look for any hack in the book that allows me to save energy here. One last thing for the neck. So get into the shoulders. Look all the way to the right. Come in the center. Look all the way to the left. Come to center. All the way to the right. Center. All the way to the left. Center. Simple, but if we're like this all day, the neck can do all of this. So that quick tip is to restore balance in the neck. If our neck is imbalanced, it impacts our sleep. It impacts our breath. And it yields tension here. So the jaw and the ears, right? So by proxy, it'll impact our hearing. So again, these tips I'm offering are somatic in nature, but it yields the quality. It impacts the quality of your work. It impacts the quality of your relationships, because better health yields better outcomes. And it doesn't take a long time to find balance. Like that's the governing thesis here. So one last tip. Again, this one will be standing. So if you've been seated, if your life or your job or whatever has you seated for more than 4 hours a day, your poor legs, right? And so what this will do, this tip is, it's just good because our legs tend to be weak and tired for those of us that are able-bodied. So our legs tend to be weak and tired, and that isn't good for our foundation, balance, or stability. So if you've been seated for more than 4 hours, you can stand up. You should stand up at least for 10 minutes for every couple of hours that you are seated. So let me get these sound bowls out of the way. First world problem. So if you've been like this for hours, you can use your chair as a prop and just get into whatever range of motion you can for the hips. So like holding the chair, leg up and around, great for the hips. And it just allows the legs to do something other than nothing. On the other side, one hand on the heart or on the hips, one hand on the chair, back and around and around and around. Because the legs are made up of the lower abdomen, hip flexors, side hips, glutes, hamstrings, quadriceps. So when they sit and do nothing for hours, give them a little work. Or you can bounce up and down, but just do something for the legs rather than continuing to sit. It's good for the energy, it's good for the blood, good for the breath. So that's it for the standing piece. Super simple, but it also begins to play like not a trick, but it's kind of a trick for the mind. The mind, like if you sit like this for hours and hours, body just gets into a trance. So the standing up, the things that we did with all, it breaks up the monotony and it allows the brain to stay with it, and it gives the brain a break, a peaceful break, so that you can have more freshness when you re-engage with your work. So in conclusion, we've done everything from head to side body to neck and stuff. We're going to do a little spinal twisting, a little focus on the breath and meditation, then we out. So I want you to take arms out to the side. Make sure the palms are soft. And then twist one way. You can stand up and do this. Center, twist another way. And you can snap, but do something playful here. Give the eyes a break. Do something playful with the body. If you have a swivel chair like I'm in, you can be assisted by the apparatus. Ten seconds. Good for spinal health, good for energetic clearance. Come to center. Give yourself one last shrug and shimmy on GP, that's general principle. So now, one last tip. If you do none of the other stuff that we just did, I want you to take shoulders back and down, heart forward, chin level, eyes soft or closed, but soft for the moment. So after a Zoom call, after someone pisses you off, after something doesn't go the way that you want it to go, you can do the following thing as clearance. Basically just like, that sucked and I'm over it. So for me, when that tends to happen, I usually just shake like that was terrible. So I shake that off. Then I do something for the shoulders and the neck. Then I put one hand on the heart. Then with my fingers, I'll do, it will be fine. It will be fine. Or peace begins with me. So doing something, so shaking off the experience, finding the shoulders back and down, and then being like, it will be fine, or peace begins with me. Doing that for about maybe 5-6 times. Taking 3 deep breaths, so in through the nose, exhale out the mouth. And then, of course, you may not forget about it, but what it does, it turns down the volume a bit. What we do in activist work is if something doesn't go our way, we grit our teeth and it's like, yeah, it sucks, and I'm going to keep going. You got to let it go. Like, you got to find ways of clearance. Otherwise, it stays with you and it begins to weigh you down. And the sooner you can shake the stuff off as it happened, it's more likely to release, right? So again, someone calls you, a vote doesn't go the way you want it to, a partner in the movement acts crazy, or you're just having a bad day, just like shake it off. It will be fine. Peace begins with me. 3 clearing breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Not the nose, the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Then I sit still for about 20 seconds. Open my eyes, and then get back to my life. So that's one last tip I would say. So we've done some body stuff. We've done some situational stuff. We've done some energetic, kind of fun, playful stuff. Because y'all, like, the tips I'm offering again are body based, because we as a movement are super heady. You don't need me to give you another list and spreadsheet. We need to be more embodied in our work, because the body keeps score, and we can reset the score by so when we do these little tips to make peace, we can like erase some of the stress that we carry and then approach our work super fresh, right? Super fresh and like a mental sense, and also super fresh like Kangol and Adidas fresh, right? So anyway, the hip hop head has to say that. So let us conclude by just taking 5 breaths together, because the easiest thing you can do other than this stuff or the body stuff is remember, your best friend in this life is your breath. Your life is measured on the breath. The quality of breath impacts the quality of body and mind. So when you feel as though you don't have space, we can create space through deeper breath. And so what we're going to do is take 5 clearing breaths. I probably should have started with this, but this is, and we could probably change it in editing. But the breath allows the body to know it'll be okay. It allows the mind to soften. And then in that softness, new ideas can emerge. I can't tell you how many times I've been in situations where something didn't go my way. And rather than like, I'm determined, I'd be like, so take my breaths, open my eyes, and be like, maybe I'll try it this way. So it creates a sense of curiosity, which is essential in our work. So anyway, shoulders back and down. Notice if there's any tension in the body. And on our exhale, imagine the tension that you notice softening and releasing with the wind. So through the nose, find a deep inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gentle pause. Full exhale out the mouth. Same number through the nose. Inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gentle pause. Full exhale out the mouth. In through the nose. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gentle pause. Full exhale. Same number. In through the nose. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gentle pause. Full exhale. For this last one, breathe as deep as you want to. Hold at the top for as long as you want to. Then full exhale out the mouth. One more, because that's a beautiful experience. So in through the nose, whatever feels great. Gentle pause to cherish the inhale. Exhale out the mouth. And as we conclude, just feel how that deep breath sequence landed with you, how other aspects of our time together have landed with you. And just remember that a small physical intervention to break up the monotony of stress is the best gift you can give yourself, and translates into the ability to carry the peace forward. If eyes have softened or closed, please open them. And with that, I'll pause to see if there is a question. And if there is no question, just deep gratitude for the chance to be of service, and hope that any of these tips or all of these tips help you out.
Reggie, it looks like there are two sort of similar questions that
Yeah.
were submitted about resources or places where folks can sort of get started, share with teams. I know a lot of us are in distributed teams, and especially like for folks that, you know, may also have different like physical capabilities. A lot of these like stretches, I just
Right.
can imagine like even if we're all just like on a Zoom, 5 minutes, the start of a meeting doing these. But do you have some they said books, podcasts, videos, anything that you would recommend some folks take a look at, get started
Yeah.
with?
Yeah. So there is a practitioner that, I mean, you can always find me at activepeaceyoga.com, or my YouTube page. I have some basic stuff out there specifically for activist folks, because y'all are my people. And the sad part is that there aren't many resources as yet because we have yet to take this seriously. But I've been taking it seriously for a while, and I do have stuff on my page. And you know, Yoga with Adrienne's a good place to go if yoga is what you're looking for. But the other thing I would say is it doesn't have to be anything that I did. Just like put down the phone, go outside, lay in the grass, do a cartwheel, do a shitty cartwheel or something. You know what I mean? But like do something that breaks that pause is immeasurably important, right? Like going, 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 going. First of all, where? Second of all, why? But taking that pause is essential. And it begins to create an opportunity where you're like, even when things are swirling about, you got your own rhythm. So the swirl,
I
I
think
mean, you see me in action, like the swirl is going around. I'm like, do, 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 just like, okay,
I
you need
think
me
you
where?
also you
Right,
focus on joy a lot too, right? The thought of just
right.
going out and laying the grass, doing a cartwheel, even if it's bad. These dance
Right, that
moves.
dance
Like,
party thing I did. Look, who cares? Like, just celebrate.
yeah, yeah, no, I think that's great. And why we're so thrilled to have you here. Also, just want to say I love your Prince pillow. Um, but I dropped the link to Reggie's Active Peace Yoga in the chat. I'll also attach that to this agenda so that y'all can find it easily when you come back, and his YouTube channel. But I think uh, Eric and I were just like, oh my Lord, Eric's the ED of Netroots Nation.
Yeah,
For folks who don't know, we're just in the chat and we're just like, oh, because we're in that grind. And so deeply appreciative on a personal level, appreciative for the team, and appreciative for the community for your time here.
yeah.
Um, and I don't see any other questions that have come in, but we'll make sure we share some of those resources with folks. And Reggie will be in person for anyone coming to Netroots in Chicago. He's going to have his morning sessions. Are you doing a Prince yoga session again this year?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I might. To be determined.
TBD, but we have plenty of space for Reggie on the schedule, and really grateful for the presence and the work that he brings to the space. With that, just a reminder, we have one more virtual session, and we'll have plenty of content that's streaming for all of our virtual attendees during the conference itself. But we look forward to seeing you either in person in Chicago or online. And if y'all are playing the game again, the code for this session is democracy. And thank you again, Reggie. Thank you, community. We'll see you soon.
Love and